Hillary Clinton.
Blake
Trish?
Corman, thank you so much. I want to bring in our panel here. We've got best-selling author Gina Loudon with us, as well as Democratic strategist Matthew Lippman. Good to see you guys. How much, Matt, in your view, has she been pushed left of center or left of what her normal positions would be as a result of Bernie Sanders' tremendous gain, seemingly out of nowhere?
First, Trish, based on that opening and the polls that you just revealed, this is a tough. I'm expecting some tough questions from you today. I think she gets pushed to the left.
Always.
I guess so.
But we'll get to that in a second, because I know you're chomping at the bit to address it. But tell me, in terms of her overall platform, and we've seen some flip-flopping from her for sure. TPP, the most recent example of that. Is it a result of Bernie Sanders being so left? I mean, to the point where he's actually a socialist.
So here's how hard, Trish, I'm going to push back at you. I don't think she flip-flopped on TPP. She, as Secretary of State, said it was a good deal while it was being negotiated, and the deal that ended up getting negotiated, she probably thinks she can make a stronger deal. So I'm going to push back on that. As far as going to the left, I think that Hillary has always been...
Do we have some of these quotes that we can show, Hillary, folks? Hang on one second, Matt, because I can't let that one go.
I mean, from a while ago.
We've been watching everything that she has said since 2013. I have a number of quotations I can share with you. Back in 2012, TPP is gold standard of international trade. Just last week, she changed her mind and said, as of today, I'm not in favor of it.
That's right.
Yet
so,
we have a series of quotations from her. She helped architect this deal. She was seen in
the final deal.
In a teleconference with some Japanese, saying that this would be really important for them. So, okay, you're going to say it's not the final. It's not exactly the deal she wanted.
That's right. And so she's not saying that she would never do TPP. She didn't say that at all. She feels that some of it needs to be strengthened, and until it's strengthened, she can't support it. I don't see that's not really a change of position as far as I'm concerned. I don't know.
It seems pretty political to me, because, you know, there are those union votes that are still dangling out there that she'd like to get. And Gina, this should have been a layup. It should have been a home run. She should be the nominee. I mean, why all of a sudden are we looking at a debate with 4 other candidates on stage?
So many reasons, Trish. I think the biggest reason is the perception problem that she has, where the American public basically perceives her as a liar. Remember, the top 3 descriptors of Hillary, when surveyed, are all about deception and lying. And people need a president they can trust. You know, even if she does flip-flop on an issue, if she were believable and it appeared to people that she came through it through honest deliberation, that would be one thing. But people know Hillary Clinton is a liar. That's their perception of her. I don't know how she gets beyond that, because even if she makes promises to every one of her strong groups, they're kind of going, wait, but when's she going to flip-flop on us? That's a problem.
Well, yeah, that is, you know, likability and trust are big issues in every single campaign. And Matt, I think that that's one of her biggest problems here. People don't trust her. They don't believe she's authentic. And you know what? They don't really like her.
Okay, so the person, so you guys just said that Hillary flip-flopped on an issue, and you can't flip-flop on an issue. May I remind you that Marco Rubio came out against his own...
That's not what I said. I said if she weren't perceived as dishonest, she could probably change her mind. We know that Donald Trump has done that. I mean, almost everyone does that at some point in politics, because you grow.
Trish, go
ahead, Matt.
I'm gonna make a statement. Marco Rubio came out against the immigration plan that he wrote. Donald Trump was a Democrat. Jeb Bush, 1 week, was for the Iraq War. If he knew now what he knew then, what he knows now, then the next week he changed his mind. I mean, on the Republican side, they're flip-flopping all the time to go further and further to the right. So I don't think that somebody changing a position in either party is going to preclude them from being elected president.
Okay, I'll give you that. You know, people have a right to change their mind along the way, and perhaps it doesn't preclude her from getting the nomination. But I would ask you about this, Matt, and that's just sort of the basic likability, because I think that this has been a factor throughout history, certainly in the television age when it comes to campaigning. I think this is why Kerry stumbled. I think this is why Mitt Romney stumbled. And I do believe that this lack of likability, if you would, is why Hillary Clinton is stumbling right now. Your take?
So I have seen those poll numbers, obviously, Trish. I'm not blind. I see the poll numbers, and I heard Hillary say in an interview last week that she was hurt by some of these results, and I understand it. What I think, Trish, and obviously I am not objective, I'm not pretending to be objective, but with 17 Republican candidates bashing her all the time, it hurts Hillary's ratings. And when that field narrows down and it's really just Hillary against one or two Republicans, I think you're going to see a change. Again, I'm not pretending to be objective about it, but that's
no,
my belief.
I know. We know where you're standing, and we know you back her. And it's important. Seriously, it's very important that we hear all voices here. So I appreciate that, Matt. Stick with us. I do want to point out that Fox Business has its very own debate coming up in a few weeks. So make sure you tune in to watch us on the big night in Milwaukee, Tuesday, November 10th. This. How do you think she's going to defend herself on stage tonight? Because you better be assured these questions are going to come up.
I think they're going to come up, but I don't think they're going to come up for long because there seems to be a lot of smoke here and not a lot of fire. One thing that we should understand is government servers get hacked all the time. Hillary's has not, but government servers do get hacked all the time.
How do you know that, Matt?
They're not finding out. Well, because we have that thing like OPM.
That it wasn't
OPM. The office. Well, so far, no one has said that it was hacked, so I should say that,
so far,
right?
We know that she...
Well, yeah, so far, so we can go...
She had a system that was vulnerable.
Okay, so we can go down this road, but you guys have gone down this road on them trying to kill Vince Foster, on Benghazi and everything else, and it always amounts to nothing.
It's always that right-wing conspiracy,
are you going to wait for the facts?
That's always the excuse.
At one point, are you going to wait for the facts to come out?
At some point, I would just ask the question, at one point, are you going to say, if I'm running for president of the United States, did I make a really big mistake maintaining, keeping my own server as the Secretary of State?
She said she made a mistake. She said she made a mistake, but Trish, I'm getting the idea that you're not voting for Hillary.
It's a serious error. Gina, is she going to actually be able to defend herself on stage tonight?
How is this defensible? You compromise our national security, couple that with the whole thing that went down in Benghazi, couple that with the money that her husband took for speeches to foreign leaders. You put those three things together and something smells very, very upsetting about this. Now we not only have a repeated dishonesty from this candidate, Hillary Clinton, but we also have pure, utter, straight up incompetence. Even if, and no one believes this, but even if this was pure incompetence and there's nothing else going on here, what's her next mistake that she's going to make as president that compromises us, and how exactly
I guess
will
it
that
comes
mistake
back to,
affect
for
our
me,
future?
Sort of the blasé, saying, well, this is just the right-wing conspiracy.
Yes.
Let me point out, Matt, I never talk about who I vote for, and I would never tell my viewers who I vote for. That's my own personal information. But one of my jobs is to point out in every single one of these candidates when you have issues, when you have problems. And this one, it's pretty glaring. In this particular case with this particular candidate, she wants to shrug it off and say, well, but why is she, Matt, somehow playing by a different set of rules? Why would she be allowed to have her own server, whereas a normal government employee couldn't do that?
So Hillary said that she did it for the sake of convenience, number one. Number two, you could ask the same questions about Jeb Bush. You could ask the same questions about Colin Powell emailing other world leaders while Secretary of State.
Different day and age, you know that?
From his personal email account.
Different day and age.
That's your answer, I know. That's right, okay.
Look at the threat that we're under right now from the Chinese, from the Russians. Even internally, within domestic situations, we are very much at risk as a result of the cybersecurity issues popping up now on a daily basis. I think she's going to face some very tough questions tonight. Lincoln Chafee was on this show. He brought this up. Bernie Sanders has not really gone after this. This might be his opportunity. We'll see tonight. Matt, Gina, thank you so much. All right, we'll be watching. We shall see. Donald Trump, everyone.
Because Trump isn't in the debate. I think it's not going to be highly rated. I think it's going to be, you're going to watch it for 10 or 15 minutes. People are going to get bored and turn it off.
Okay, he's got me. Yes, he's right. You know what? It's not going to be as exciting without Donald Trump there. But you know what? He's going to do his part to make it more interesting for everyone. He's actually going to live tweet during the whole ordeal tonight, promising in a tweet this morning that, quote, at the request of many, and even though I expect it to be a very boring 2 hours, I will be covering the Democrat debate live on Twitter. He's also making some headlines today, again on Twitter, by announcing that he's going to be hosting SNL, Saturday Night Live, next month. Gina's back with me. And Gina, I got to ask you, I think one of the things that people find appealing about Trump is his authenticity. I mean, let's face it, we know he's the one tweeting because nobody would actually allow a candidate to say half the stuff that he says on Twitter.
Exactly.
So you know it's him. Is Twitter helping him?
I think it is helping him from the real guy standpoint, Trish. I think that people watch his tweets and, like you said, you know that they're so authentic, because even just the way he talks about Twitter and stuff, it's not the way that a consultant would refer to Twitter. You know, I'll be using Twitter tonight. He'd say I'll be live tweeting. You know what I'm saying? Just little things like that you catch, and you're like, you know, his thumbs hit those keys. Period.
for better or for worse, sometimes.
Right.
But you know, one of the interesting things as well is I was reading an article on him and his first wife, Ivana, that was written, I believe, back in 1989 or 1990 in Vanity Fair recently. And the way they described him was very similar to what you see today. I mean, in very, like, what you see is what you get, very rah, rah, rah. I've made the point that he kind of comes across as the coach on the sidelines, encouraging everybody along the way. He had that same kind of optimism and that same bravado. This piece that I read, it could have been written 2 days ago, as opposed to that many years ago, Gina. So that was interesting to me. Again, you know, getting at who is Donald Trump? Is he really authentic? Is he who he says he is? Your hunch on this one?
Yeah, well, you know, my background's in psychology, and so watching him has been one of the most fascinating political, psychological phenomena to ever come my way, especially as somebody who gets to talk about it. And I think that we have never seen someone like Donald Trump, and that's why those out there who started out trying to predict him and his behavior, you'll notice they kind of dropped away from that. Even I am like, oh, I'm not even going to think about predicting his next move. It has worked for him, Trish, his entire life. It's worked in business, and this isn't the way business people operate either. You know, they're polished and buttoned up, and you know, this has worked for him. And so because it has always worked for him, he's going to continue in this pattern. This is what he knows. And that way, the nice thing about being that authentic is that you don't have to think as much about what you're going to say, and you don't have to try to remember what you said before. So it works.
Well, he's his own man, I guess. All right, Gina, thank you so much. We're going to be watching and keeping an eye on Twitter tonight for Trump.
Yes,
is billionaire.
absolutely.